OK， 好，第3个单元 OK Unit 3， 我的朋友，这学期过了一半了，你的课怎么样？这学期我选的课都很简单，作业也很少，所以我能有更多的时间打工赚钱。你呢？我就没有你这么好了。这学期的数学课很难，很多东西我都听不懂。那你就要花更多的时间学习啊。我每天都学习到很晚，可是还是没有进步。我觉得你的学习方法一定有问题，你应该找一个学习好的同学来帮助你。对不起，去哪里找啊？大家都这么忙，近在眼前啊，我不就是一个很好的人选吗？你真的愿意帮助我，太感谢了。不用客气，我们是好朋友嘛，就是要在你需要帮助的时候出现。那我们一会一起去图书馆学习吧。我明天有一个数学的小考，我今天可能要晚一点才会有空，我要先去打工，咱们9点在图书馆见吧。好，那晚上见咯。张蕊学期学的课怎么样？选的课怎么样？ How are her classes that she has picked? 张蕊这学期很简单，她选的课都很简单。So the classes that she has picked this semester are very easy. 没有课的时候，张蕊做什么？ What does she do when she doesn't have classes? 她有时间打工赚钱。She has time for a part-time job to earn some money. 王磊觉得哪一科很难？ What class does 王磊 think is very difficult? 数学课，他觉得数学课很难。王磊有没有用功学习？ Has 王磊 been working hard to study? 有啊，王磊有用功学习。张蕊觉得王磊不能进步的问题是什么？ What does 张蕊 think is the problem that 王磊 cannot improve? 他觉得他的学习方法一定有问题。She thinks that he must have a problem in his learning methods. 张蕊一定要去做什么？张蕊一定会帮忙。张蕊 will definitely help 王磊。Okay. By the way, if you could understand the conversation, which there are definitely words that we have learned, right? Zhang Rui has actually now put Wang Lei in the friend zone, okay? Because over here, right? 他说不用客气，我们是好朋友嘛 ，okay? 听一听，所以跟我说 ，please repeat after me. 那你今天别来打球了，不好意思，他不在，他去开会了。明天的天气会跟今天的一样好。我还是很饿，我想再吃一个三明治。我学过，但是现在都忘了。还没，我现在不止咳嗽，还发烧呢。好，这里我跳过去，因为没有关系。OK， 好，这里我们要复习。高、矮、胖。我看不出来这是什么，好像是害怕。I think she's afraid, but I can't tell. 强壮、瘦、快乐、高兴、开心。好，国歌、饭馆、老师、国籍、老师、饭盒。好，文化复习 Culture Review. Sports School. Sports schools are special institutions in China where promising young athletes are trained to become nation's athletic stars. There are many specialties within sports schools, including soccer, 足球, basketball, 篮球, tennis, table tennis, 对不起，乒乓，桌球, gymnastics, 体操, swimming, 游泳, and martial arts, 武术或是功夫。So ever since the kids are very, very young, and chances are their parents are athletes, right? Or their parents want their kids to be good athletes. When they're like 他们4岁或是5岁 very, very young at an early age, like, pre-K kindergarten, they get sent to these schools. And then they develop these skills, right? So they do learn, of course, your core classes, but the focus a lot is on the sport or the skill that they are improving on. I will say that a lot of times they do end up being athletes, right? That's why, Zhongguo is able to produce so many Olympians, right? Because they've been training their whole life, basically. Just like a lot of you that are really good at your sport or your instrument or your activities, the younger you started, right, the better you are by now because you've been learning so hard for so long. And at the same time, though, right, you guys are also mostly student athletes or student musicians, student whatever, right? Your academics actually do need to be prioritized, right? So, for example, right, if you want to do well in a certain activity, you do need to learn things like time management skills and a lot of things. So it is a good thing to know and to have, but you also need to be able to manage your health, right? Okay. International students in China. This is actually, again, very, very controversial now, especially as of last year, I think in this year. I think I just saw in the news that there were a lot of grad students that were not able to return to Megwo, right, to this country because of, I think, some of the changes in the laws for international students. But I'm going to be very honest with you. As you know, I really hate politics, right? I don't like talking about it. I don't support any specific person, really, because I don't care that much, okay? I will vote. I will definitely make sure to vote, but I don't need to tell you who I voted for, right? But my point is that whoever it is you support, if you support schools, basically, like colleges, institutions, universities, international students have been bringing a lot of income for universities, okay? I know, for example, a lot of your big schools, and even schools maybe you've never heard of, all over the country, because international students have money, right? If they can afford to attend college here in a whole other country, of course they can afford to pay more money, right, for the tuition from the schools. So I will tell you that that is actually a really good source of income for the schools, right? But at the same time, of course, that means that's very competitive, right, for students here who are just as talented and just as skilled, right, but maybe cannot afford to pay in cash, right, and upfront. So it is controversial, I understand that, but, I feel like personally, right, of course, I will support education anywhere. So I feel like, if you try your best and if you can afford it, then, if you are able to, especially in the future, hopefully, you should definitely take every advantage to study abroad. I highly, highly recommend that. It is a very precious time for you to really explore and get to learn and travel and, take that opportunity, right? So even if you cannot right now because of health and safety reasons, if in the future when you're able to, definitely do that. Always awesome, right, to volunteer, not just locally, but abroad as well, right? There are always, always people and things and animals in need. Okay, Chinese neighborhood. Chinese people believe that friendship between neighbors can be closer or more meaningful than that of blood relatives. In the past, houses were small and shared a common courtyard where people gathered to socialize. Nowadays, many of these traditional neighborhoods are being demolished to make room for high-rise apartment buildings. It is very true even to this day. And I will tell you that when I went to 2年前去中国的时候, when I went to volunteer, right, 2 years ago in 中国, I definitely noticed a clear divide. And, just like the city life and the suburb life versus the countryside life, if you live in the countryside or where you have like a smaller population, actually you probably know your neighbors pretty well. I will be honest and tell you, I don't really know my neighbors' names. I don't know who lives next to me, across from me. I honestly don't know their names, but I know their faces, right? And we wave and say hi to each other, and I think that my neighborhood is actually pretty safe and careful too. Like we kind of take care of each other, right? I noticed that, people will like volunteer and help other people, right? Or let a neighbor know, right, if there's something wrong or something going on. Like I feel pretty safe where I live. And I feel like Westfield too is a very, very safe place, right? 非常安全，西铁很安全。But what I will say also is that, with the pandemic, right, if people are stressed, especially if they cannot afford a lot of things or they have lost their jobs, right, that is where maybe, you'll see some crimes happening, right, because they know that this is a nice neighborhood. Whatever it is, though, right, doesn't matter, again, right, who or what your neighbors believe in or do not believe in or support. You really should help each other out, right? So this is why, again, like I always say that I think it's really good when you play and participate in any activity, any team activity, whether it's in an orchestra, in a band, in a sport team, right? Like if you look at our track team, right, it is a huge team. I don't even know how the coaches handle all of those kids, right? Just like I don't know how Mr. DeSarno handles all the football people, right? There are so many of them. But, you know, that's what's important, right? Because you get to build character and you learn a lot of team building skills that you do need in life. One of the really scary things about this, honestly, is the loss of that connection. I'm talking to a screen right now and I hate it so much, right? I wish I could see all of you face to face, but I cannot. So, you know, we deal with what we can do. But in your own ways, right, even if it's just within who you live with, please don't just shut yourself in your rooms, right? You really do need to connect with them, even if it's just through text, even if it's through a phone call or having Discord server, right? When you game together or you're in your fantasy football together, make those connections, please. Or when you're gaming, right? And you know people from all over the world, actually, right? Make those connections because, you know, I have a poster actually of the Justice League, and it says, you cannot save the world alone. You really cannot, right? We all need to help one another. So find your own way, right, to stay connected and to improve on this language and improve on this culture, right? Compete with one another, right? Make those Quizlet flashcards and compete on your own in Quizlet Live. Make those Kahoots if you want, right? Gimkits, I think I tried last year. I don't know if I'll do it again this year. I'll think about it, right? But, you know, you guys are pretty competitive, and I like that, right? So when you are competitive, right, you can bring out the best in each other too, okay? 好，对不起, you know, I ramble on as I do. All right. 第4单元的复习 Unit 4 Review 我的家你这个周末有空吗？要不要来我家一起玩呢？我星期六要打工，星期日可以吗？当然可以了。你还记得我家吗？我去过一次，但是是很久以前去的，我不记得怎么走了。你再跟我说一次吧。先从学校往北走3个路口，然后往东转，再直走10分钟就到了。好，我应该可以找得到。我们在你家要玩什么呢？我们一起做饭怎么样？我还真不知道你会做饭呢。我刚开始学做西餐，正好练习一下。好啊，那我买好菜到你家一起做饭。我差不多11点到你家。好，那咱们星期日见咯。Okay, if you have been following all of these dialogues, and again, if you understand them, I feel like there's a love story growing. There's like a drama brewing, and I love it. Okay, and I feel like if you notice, right, I think Zhang Rui, she keeps on trying putting Wang Lei in the friend zone, and she keeps on trying to just make this casual and just like a friendship, right? You know, you can be friends with people of, you know, all genders or whatever, right? But I feel like, you know, if you notice here, Wang Lei is the one who's very proactive and taking initiative, right? He's trying to shoot the shot. So he's like taking his chances, and he's like, oh, do you want to come over and we can hang out together or play together? And then, you know, giving the direction. And then here, 在这里, okay, Wang Lei is like, oh, let's cook together. So they're going to learn to cook together because apparently that's what you do when you hang out with your friend. I mean, I do that actually when I hang out with my friends. I'll cook together with them. But, you know, sometimes I feel like at this point, right, Wang Lei is also kind of asking, you know, maybe something more, right? 不知道, okay? But I am living for this drama or potential drama. Okay, 好。我在这里先暂停. So I'm going to pause here and then I will start the next video very quickly.